Does the defendant admit to the charges of poaching and related crimes? Marian Apongo seized the moment. I objected. Your Honor, these photographs are of no help in identifying the defendant. And the plaintiff, the International Wildlife Conservation Organization, is not a neutral entity in this case, but a party with a direct interest in the case. These photographs are not the defendant's evidence, but rather were circulated by the plaintiff. The prosecutor tilted his head as he read the indictment. His voice sounded distant, but each word pounded in my heart. This gorilla's name is Mukunda. He's not just a wild beast. He was the alpha male of a family group tracked for 13 years, and he was about to be tagged with a GPS tag. Shooting him wasn't just taking a life, it was an act that scattered a family of 20, stopped the mothers from breeding, and destroyed an entire ecosystem. The prosecutor's eyes gleamed palely. He lifted a blurry black and white photograph from the table. Each one, seemingly capturing Mukunda's dying moments, was an image I'd seen countless times in NGO archives. He took a deep breath, but seemingly unconvinced by the evidence, he listed the circumstances one by one. This isn't just the story of a single gorilla. This is the violence of the third colony on this continent. Mukunda in the photograph seemed to sway before my eyes. The chill in the air and the prosecutor's trembling gripped my heart. Even as I tried to catch my breath, the weight of it seemed to sink deep into my lungs. The gun that destroyed the forest is no longer held solely by white men. Now it's in the hands of tourists, explorers, and outsiders driven by greed. Apongo abruptly stood up, and the air in the room momentarily flinched. His gaze swept between the defendant's table and the prosecutor, unwavering. Mukunda's death is regrettable, but we must separate the evidence from the facts. His voice was calm, yet sharply cutting. Every time the prosecutor's heated words echoed through the room, Apongo paused, took a breath, and then quietly resumed his argument. Your Honor, just before the incident, the World Wildlife Fund, WWF, was in a contract with defendant Alphonse and his company. And immediately after the contract was broken, this indictment was filed. This suggests not simply environmental protection, but the possibility of commercial slander. Defendant Alphonse was arrested by the defense team during a preliminary investigation into the contract with 2 Koreans. The prosecutor smiled. Then let's call in defendant Kim Min Cheol to rebut. Kim Min Cheol, who was supposed to be sitting next to us. When his name was called, the judge briefly raised his head and then flipped through the documents. No response. The cold words sank into the empty dock. For a moment, the air in the room seemed to freeze. The prosecutor appeared to have entered the courtroom without thoroughly reviewing the case. His tone and gaze showed signs of unpreparedness, as if he had rushed through a pre-arranged script. The judge called out, "Otangs," and grumbled to the clerk, sitting in the center front row, that her identity was missing from the documents. She had no nationality, no address, no connections, and the documents were left blank. Otangs was also missing. Her name wasn't even mentioned. The atmosphere was uncertain, with no clear direction. For the outcome of the trial, someone in the gallery cursed softly. Are you kidding me? The prosecutor quickly changed the subject. Very well. Then I will call Peter as a witness. With no more witnesses, all that remains is your statement. Are you ready? Peter took his oath in front of the witness. Stand with a much more leisurely pace. Peter, were you with them when they hunted? Yes, we did. And I was sleeping in the Jeep after the long drive. I heard gunshots, and when I later went to find my companions, the guerrilla group had already retreated into the forest. Please check the photo of the gorilla that was shot here. Your Honor, the evidence photo is from an old NGO archive. I developed the film and gave it to the NGO. It has nothing to do with this incident. Alphonse only installed tranquilizer and blank rounds to prevent any accidents. He is a licensed expert. The prosecutor persisted in his questioning. However, I believe the Cross River gorilla carcass was actually traded, and that it coincided with the period of your expedition, and that the 2 men who refused to appear in court were involved in illegal firearm use and poaching. A chill ran down my spine. The prosecutor was talking about another hunt, and it felt like it wasn't a simple absence, but someone had meticulously planned it. The judge folded his arms, nodded, and looked at Peter. She waved at Peter from the gallery, but it was Madame Marie. He could guess what she was asking, but he shook his head subtly. Alphonse's eyes remained closed. He took a deep breath. He knew that a single word from him could change the fate of everyone here. But at that moment, what flashed through my mind was the words Peter had first, whispered in front of the National Wildlife Conservation Foundation NWCF headquarters. What's more important than the truth is who tells it, the prosecutor said. He stood up from his seat, Clutching a stack of documents, he slowly walked out. Defendant Yoon Tae-ho, the evidence is clear that you are the main culprit in this case. You are accused of leading illegal, poaching and manipulating the international trade network. He looked straight at me and took a step closer. But one thing, why were you suddenly indicted? As soon as your contract with the National Wildlife Conservation Foundation, NWCF, was terminated? Your Honor, I object. Apongo interrupted the prosecutor's leading question. The lawyer raised his hand and thrust several photographs before the judge. Here is the additional evidence. Included in these are photographs, internal documents, the contract between the defendant and defendant, Alphonse, and expense receipts for several officials. The judge bowed his head for a moment, then said quietly, "Prosecution, please answer." The prosecutor looked through the documents he had received, then lowered his voice. These documents are of uncertain origin, and some may be forgeries. A trial should be based on facts verified in court, not on evidence. The lawyer took a deep breath and continued. Then the evidence would only be established if Ah Tangs and Kim Min Chol, who have failed to appear as witnesses, were present. But they haven't shown up. Isn't the fact that the trial is proceeding in their absence a legal issue in itself? A heavy silence fell in the courtroom. Before delving into the specifics, please understand this as a call to social awareness. The judge turned his head. We will conclude the hearing here. The prosecutor, please make your order. I request that the defendant and Alphonse be sentenced to 3 years in prison. Prison. This was a criminal court. Why did we let our guard down? The moment he heard those words, Attorney Apongo looked at us. His hands trembled. He took out a handkerchief and wiped the sweat from his face, his hardened expression slowly softening. Your Honor, the defendant Yoon Tae-ho did not hunt. He was mentally depressed at that moment and fired a blank shot out of fear for his life. He did not kill. The prosecutor's claim is that the abandoned bodies clearly followed a different path from the defendants, and if they were found 2 days away, then the timing of the incidents is different. He raised his hand and pointed to the defendants. And Alphonse, he is not a poacher. He lost the forest as a child, and in a time when borders were not yet clearly defined, he travels across his divided hometown to protect the forest. His family still lives in a village without electricity. He was clearly a man who tried to protect the gorillas and their babies. He is someone this court must protect. Doesn't the world value the tears of gorillas, while paying no attention to the pain of the local people? Furthermore, the prosecution's photos are not theirs. Furthermore, concluding the defendants are guilty simply because the abandoned gorilla carcass overlapped with their exploration schedule is tantamount to shifting the blame for the lack of evidence onto the defendants and violating the presumption of innocence. What if the evidence we have relied on until now is actually a manipulated image provided by the plaintiff? There is no justice within that frame. There is only power. I, the defense attorney, demand the defendant's innocence. It was each defendant's turn for their closing arguments. Defendant Yoon Tae-ho, please make your final statement. The air in the courtroom was suffocating. The judge's gavel, the defense attorney's and prosecutor's words all sounded faint to Yoon. Tae-ho's ears like the distant sound of the wind. He slowly rose from his seat. His gaze swept between the audience and the forest outside the window. Your Honor, and everyone present here. His voice trembled at first, then became firm. I explored Cross River National Park. I went to investigate the lucrative business of gorilla hunting. However, I did not kill the gorillas. All I did was shoot tranquilizer bullets and draw blood for their protection. In the jungle, facing those black-eyed gorillas, I observed the kinship between humans and gorillas. I realized that we must protect animals. I will no longer harm nature or living creatures. Not gorillas, not people, not myself. I asked for leniency. As he finished speaking, a heavy silence fell over the courtroom. Defendant Alphonse, please make a brief statement. He slowly rose from his chair and raised his bound hands as if in prayer.